especially now. Because where is our opposition?
He's been fighting for us for so long. So many schools of thoughts we've been through, yeah, to keep us strong. So tell me, what is it that you're willing to do to make our dreams come true? Yeah, make our dreams come true. Been a long time coming, but now we're here. So won't you stand up and show no fear? For the master, master teacher, freedom for the master, master teacher, freedom for the master, master teacher, freedom for the master, master teacher. 'Cause he's a man of the hour. They kidnapped him for building Tamarae. He put his life on the line for us all, and for the truth the lies must fade away. Fade away. It's been a long time coming. Yes, let's be strong. For the 7 seals are breaking, it won't be long to make our dreams come true. For a life that's new, some are called and few are chosen. Said, how about for the master, master teacher, freedom 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 for the master, freedom, master teacher, freedom for the master, master teacher, freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher, freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Think not that we are earthborn, we come from earth, we may be, but we are life on spirit, and without knowing we can never be free. Knowledge of this was lost when we were cast into blindness. The master teacher came and broke the chains of bondage. For the master, master teacher, freedom for the master, freedom.
Pire Atam Hattab, one of the many student teachers of the master teacher, Pada Babiananan, grammatical master of heaven, grammatical master teacher of heaven and earth, who we affectionately refer to as Baba Yanun, incarnated Nazar Rizkian avatar into the personage of His Excellency Dr. Malachi Z.K. York Okran, 33 degrees over 700 Nazar and 20 degrees. Today's class is entitled Wu-Sabat versus Google on mental health. What does right knowledge say about the subject? I'm going to rename it. Does the phases of the moon have an effect on mental health? So before we start class topic, I'd just like to read an excerpt from a scroll called Is Jesus God? And the excerpt I'm reading. Hey, before you start, can we be heard on Clubhouse and Zoom?
Sure.
Great. Right.
It's a little low, but we can hear you.
Okay, it's a little low. Okay. Tap for that, Moisar family. Right, let's well, we can go straight into it. Pen and papers out, fam. All right, so reading from the scroll is Jesus God, page 13. Now, what I'm reading here, we say His Excellency Dr. Malachi Z.K. Okran, 33 degrees over 720 degrees. And we know that the 720 degrees pertains to having, or the master having 360 degrees of knowledge of the physical plane and 360 degrees of the spiritual plane. However, we're going to build on that, and you'll see this build on page 13 of the scroll is Jesus God. So, everybody strap yourself in and let us begin. Okay, here we go. Question: is the name of the highest and other similar names found anywhere else besides in the Holy Bible? Answer: yes. In the scroll or tablet called sapphire stone, also found in the Ethiopian Apocryphal, which means hidden, of the 2 volumes of Hanok, Idris, Enoch, son of Yared, Jared, and Silham, Genesis 5, 1-19. The sapphire stone was actually 3 stones, or 3 sets of stones: the sardius or ruby stone, the sapphire or blue stone, and the emerald green stones. Have you heard of the emerald tablets? We'll go into that. Representing 1 knowledge, 2 wisdom, and 3 understanding. On the sapphire stone was engraved the higher signs of the holy wisdom of time. It's got here, read the unmasked scroll of Enkimi Enoch, and that's never been published, or not I know of. It's a new, clearer translation by Noble Dr. Malachi Z. York. It's a new, clearer translation with footnotes, and the sapphire stone is mentioned in chapters 81, verse 1, and 92, verse 4. Also, refer to a book called The Lost Prophet of the Bible, Enoch, the Ethiopian, by Indus Hamid Kush. Those who want to purchase that book, ISBN number 1-886433-02-X. You can read about these 3 sets of stones in the Sumerian Bible by Noble Dr. Malachi Z. York, 33 degrees over 720 degrees. The blue or sapphire stones had knowledge of Damek, agreeable, and Lemnu, disagreeable. The red or sardius stone had knowledge of all types of attractions, stimulants, pleasures, seductions, and sexuality. The green or emerald stone contained knowledge of the tree of life. Question: what else is inside the sapphire scroll? Answer: all true names, and that most powerful names, and 72 different kinds of knowledge that were contained thereon, which were divided into 670 signs of the highest mysteries. Also, 1,500 secret keys, and in all, 720 degrees, 360 degrees of the spiritual knowledge, and 360 degrees of physical knowledge, of which such is not entrusted except to the holy ones, Ha-Afanim, the thrones, are of the higher realms, the 5th plane or dimension. So when we say outformation, we know what dimension that's coming from, outside of this 3rd dimensional plane. Dimension. The very angels had to be taught from this scroll. This is a sapphire scroll. 180 degrees of the physical knowledge is entrusted to each group of the heavenly hosts. And we know that the word angel means messenger, and the word for heavenly host in the Hebrew is tasabo, which from there get the word Sabian. The seraphim, fiery serpent, were entrusted with 180 degrees of good, and the cherubim, those near, were entrusted with 180 degrees of evil. Both dwell on the higher realms of the 4th plane or dimension, under the watchful eye of Ha-Ir, the watchers. Some of the Ha-Afanim, the thrones, the highest of angels, are the watchers, as well as some of the seraphim who have been appointed by the Ha-Afanim, the thrones. Those angels are also taught from it, giving each group of them only 180 degrees of good or 180 degrees of evil between them, totaling 360 degrees called will. Humans are born with will, having 180 degrees of agreeable and 180 degrees of disagreeable. And we know that will basically means the ability to decide upon a course of action.
Miles, sorry to interrupt you. It's Bastat here, but there's about 3 or 4 people waiting to get into the Zoom, and because I'm not obviously administrator, I can't give them access.
Oh, okay.
Do have administrator access.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, thank you.
talk about that. Okay, in the Sumerian doctrine, so once again, so we got here the Sardis or ruby stone has knowledge of attractions. The sapphire stone or blue stone has knowledge of agreeable and disagreeable, and the emerald or green stone has knowledge of the tree of life. In the Sumerian doctrine, equivalence. So let's say here, so the master's got a diagram here, like a triangle. I don't know if you can see that. And he's got here on the top, you've got the Igigi, the Aphanim, the thrones. The Elohim, you've got here in the middle, you've got the Dinjir, those are the righteous ones. The Ushumgal, the seraphim, agreeable, and the Anuna, the cherubim, the disagreeable. In the Sumerian doctrine, equivalents to the cherubim and seraphim will be the Umshungal and the Anuna. The Anunnaki are agreeable and disagreeable, just as their children are today. As far as language is concerned, in Sumer, the Ushumgal were the winged serpents, who would be equivalent to the seraphims, meaning fiery serpents. The Anuna is another name for Anunnaki, those who came to Earth in the 50s, and pertains to those who stayed on the Earth, will be equivalent to the cherubim, those who are near. Question: has any man ever seen or learned about this sacred stone? Answer: yes. Kadmon, the Zakar Adam, who was born of the spiritual realm first. So I'm going to stop there. Rather than continue, I'm going to stop there. What do you backtrack? So, when we say about the 700 degrees of knowledge, and it's got here, I mean, this little section again. 360 degrees of the spiritual knowledge and 360 degrees of physical knowledge, of which such is not entrusted except to the holy ones, Aphanim, the thrones of the higher realm, the fifth plane or dimension. So that should give us an indication of the qualification or qualifications of the master teacher who we have in our midst, and what he has to impart on those amongst us who have made the grade and receive the crown of life, which is really the barotheric gland. They'll give them access or random access to the divine, and they too will be endowed with 720 degrees of knowledge. Curtis Dar, the tablet of destiny that the Anunnaki stole, is that one of the stones you are talking about somehow? The answer is yes. He's going to talk about the tablets of destiny. We can talk about tablets of destiny later on. Okay, this right. It talks about, let's go straight into that. We need to talk about the tablets of destiny. This is page 19 of Is Jesus God? Question: what are the Akasha records? Answer: the Akasha records are the tablets of destiny. And the word Akasha is a Sanskrit word that means destiny ether. The sapphire stone was recorded in a form of cuneiform called attis, which is the Hebrew word for tree, and it's called Asa in Moorish Arabic. It was named this because this form of script was based on the horizontal and vertical branches of a tree, which is the oh, it's got a picture here. Can you see that picture there? Can you see that, fam? Okay. Who created this script? This tree script was created by the Elohim, God, judges, angels, and there were no other books recorded in this script. This knowledge has been hidden until now. Once it was taken from beneath the tree of knowledge, it was hidden inside the pyramid. I, wu-nuwaup, also known as Noble Dr. Malachi Zio, am coming up from the 9th chamber to teach you what has been laid hidden for far too long. I just want to stop there. We'll continue. So, yes, I just want to stop there. And let me continue with this very last bit here. This is from page 23. And it reads, question, why didn't the Elohim want you to read from all of the sacred scriptures, stones? Answer, they saw what man could become and how he transgressed this commandment. Even today, man has further transgressed from being a child of inner Anunnaki, which is disagreeable, and the inner Shumgal, Elohim, God's judges, angels, to nearing Homo erectus, the being man was before combining the DNA, by setting up the grouping of corpuscles of the inner Anunnaki, high Elohim, or the gods, creating man in their image and likeness to make Homo sapiens. So what he's saying here is that man has dropped to such a degree, a level from on high, to being Homo erectus. And you know that from Homo erectus, you've got Homo saurus, Homo sapien, and then from Homo sapien, you got Homo spiritus. And that is the degree that we should all aim to attain. So that's just to be a little excerpt there, just identifying when we say, the master teacher says he has 360 degrees over, or sorry, 33 degrees over 720 degrees, let you know who we've got in our midst. So let's start today's class, or the subject matter. As we said before, it's entitled, well, the proper title I wanted to have would be, the question was asked to me, does the phases of the moon have contributes to, has any correlation to mental health? And when you Google that, you will find that it says that there's no scientific evidence to support mental health issues with the moon or the phases of the moon. However, we as Musbatu, Sabians of Wu-Sabat, we know better because we've got right knowledge. Okay, so let's begin. Just want to say, okay, so the question is, according to Google, there's no scientific evidence to substantiate the effects of the phases of the moon on mental health. The moon, in actuality, does have an effect on the minds of all people, not just those who have what's referred to as mental health issues. And what we first have to do is acknowledge the cycles of natural nature. We say that, and the cycles of natural nature, as you say here, alternates and alterates, meaning we have seasons that move back and forth, which is alternation, and there is change within those cycles, which is alteration. So, as we teach, we have 24. No, let me quickly go back. We have 4 seasons. We have spring, which is life into life. Sorry, spring, which is death into life. You have summer, which is life into life. You have autumn, life into death. And you have winter, death into death. And each of these seasons, and that's just on the planet Earth, because we have universal cycles, and we have galactical cycles, and we also have planetary cycles. So you have cycles within cycles within cycles. And each of these cycles has an effect on the minds of basically the inhabitants, especially on this planet Earth, has an effect on the minds of this planet Earth. So Wu-Sabat teaches us that we have a 24,000 year cycle, and within those 24,000 year cycle, we have 2 sun and 2 moon cycle. And we also have, within those cycles, we have of 6,000 years of each of those 4 cycles, 6,000 year moon cycle, 6,000 year sun cycle. And right now, we're now entering into a new 24,000 year cycle and a new sun cycle of 6,000 years. We call it the revolutionary cycle. We are exiting out of the evolutionary cycle, and we're now entering into a evolutionary reverse cycle, which we refer to as the revolutionary cycle. And these cycles, the moon cycle does have an effect on the minds of the people. And let's say, so let's continue reading here. Let's make some notes here. I'd just like to read it here. Each cycle emanates conscious and conscious etheric gases that permeates within the atmosphere that affects all life forms on the planet. These etheric forces dictates the extinction and or birth of new life forms, even alteration of existing life forms to prolong longevity on or off the planet. And this you can read in the Holy Tablets, the excerpts from the Holy Tablets. So page 634. It's chapter 6. We read this one some time back. We did a class on this. I'm sorry, this is page 6. So it's page 634 of the Holy Tablets, chapter 6, tablet 15, and reading verse 147. And it reads, these forces affect, I say these forces, these ontological forces, these forces affect the rhythms of life and the appearance and extinction of the species within the Earth's magnetic field. And we go to page 5 of the Holy Tablets, tablet 1, chapter 1, tablet 1, verse 24, and it reads, 9 ether will become 6 ether through time by way of the cycles and age, means they die, and 6 ether becomes ghost through time and age. 25. 6 ether, albinos, is 9 ether wu-nuwaupians in death, and ghost is the death of 6 ether. 26. After the death of 6 ether, 9 ether resurrects again by way of the resurrection revolutionary cycle. 6 ether is the moon, and 9 ether is the sun. Hence, 6 ether is adverse or in opposition to 9 ether, just as death is adverse to life. So, with these cycles, it has an effect on the minds or the consciousness and the conscience, meaning the ability to be alert and awake. I mean, say conscience, the ability to differentiate between agreeable and disagreeable. So these gases, of a lesser gases, it's like you're in a room and you're inhaling carbon monoxide, you're inhaling poison, it's affecting your mind, and also anything affects the mind will affect your actions. Until somebody opens the window and the 9 ether gases enter into the room and change the condition of the atmosphere, and in changing the condition of the atmosphere will change the mindset of the individuals, and in changing the mindset of the individuals will change their actions. So when they talk about mental health, it's as though that they're trying to say, oh, certain people have, when they talk about mental health issues, you begin to realize that we all have mental health issues until us, okay, some more than others, but to change the polarity, we need this right knowledge that will change the mindset of the people on the planet. Just want to. Any questions thus far, Moisar, before we continue?
Robobat Zamal.
Rahubat Zamal.
Questions, yes, not regarding with the theme, but regarding other subjects.
Go
Please
ahead.
advise if right advice. Okay, perfect. I have two questions on the Master Secrets, the Divide and Conquer,
Okay.
and one more question regarding Shambhala.
Okay.
So we can start with Shambhala that is separated. I would like to know what is the proof that Shambhala exists, and how can we visit if it's permitted, and why not?
Yeah.
How would that be? That's the first question.
Right, yeah. There's a guy called Admiral Byrd who visits Shambhala. I think it's in 1940s. About 1940s, he visited Shambhala. And when he went to Shambhala, it was a fleet of them that went to Shambhala at about 1400, a fleet of about 1400 craft airplanes. They went to Shambhala. And obviously, they knew something about Shambhala. They knew its location in Antarctica. There's an opening in Antarctica, and they went there. It wasn't just for exploration. It was basically they wanted to, for really infiltration purposes, as opposed to exploration purposes. And that is logged and recorded. You could actually go on YouTube and Google that about Admiral Richard E. Byrd. They're very well documented. And the master actually give us the beings, information about the beings who reside there, and entrances around the world. There's a tape called Who and What Are You? And in there, he mentions of a being that incarnated into him called Rama, and how this being Rama resides in Shambhala. So the master teacher put that out as well to let us know that there is a place called Shambhala and Akhata, and the capital is called Wahala, okay, the Golden City, okay. So they're people are well aware of it. Those in the governments, they're well aware of Shambhala. Not any and everybody could even go to Antarctica to gain entrance. You can't even go to Antarctica for starters unless you've got special permits and permission to go there. Well, if there's something that they're hiding there in Shambhala, in Antarctica. So anyway, the master teacher did say that there's entrances like in Nigeria, in the Gobi Desert, in the Sahara, in the pyramids. Many entrances around the world that one can gain entry into Shambhala. But it's not like anyone could just decide to get a plane or gain entry into there. You got to know, you got to have, well, we know the master knows how to get in there. So I hope that helped for that section there, Zamal.
So Zamal, yes, I understood that, and I appreciate love. I would like to confirm that. So the proof that Shambhala exists would be the entrances on these different locations.
That's right. And like I said, you go on YouTube, you better hear about Admiral Byrd and how when he went there, when he went to Antarctica, his aircraft was under the control of these beings that reside in there. They pull these aircraft into Shambhala, and he was able to witness the inhabitants and this inner city in Shambhala. It's on YouTube. You could find that out. Okay, so it's not a secret.
Okay, appreciate love Zamal. I guess I can move to the question.
Mm.
Is, can you elaborate on the covenants between the aliens and the sons of witches or Wiccans, the sorcerers?
Covenant.
That's on the Master Secrets, Divide and Conquer.
Okay, I'm going to scroll on me. Can you read excerpt from there, please, Emil?
Yes. Let me just open here. It's a little bit long, but I'll start.
Okay, go ahead.
Divide and Conquer, verse 21. For there on earth, after end of the Adamu, Adamite, and Edomites, Tardad dominion over you by way of 6,000 Shamut year, hypnotic spell of Farouk Wu Galab, divide and conquer, enforced by Celtic, Ashash Wu females of what became Wiccan religion, taught to them the Sawau, sons of the Kamayu aliens, who Kauba raped them, called the Sawau Tatu, daughters of the Enoshites, forgetful mortals. 22. Who then gave Ladud birth to Giborites, tyrants, demigods, wicked and evil chaotic giants. 23. Who themselves made a covenant with the Homo saurus, reptilians from Draco star system, Pa Mutnanu, or Tananu, Dragonians. 24. Joining onto them, as did Pa Mukmau, or Kamau, the Pleiadians, the original Manashu, parents of Nordic or Norse. 25. To join on Lawi or Levi in letter tongue Hebrew, Lewi, Levi, join, Tan, Tanan, Tanin, Tanin, dragon, beast, monster, Helios, whale, sea, serpent, and together it became Leviathan, Lewi, Tanin. 26. Those who joined onto them became Mukushashfu, or Kashashu, witches, of witchcrafts or spell casters, witchery, sorcery, charms. As you read in the Bible, Book of Jesus, their Christ, Revelation 13, 1, 18, 27. That 18 or 3 by 6 leads you to Revelation 18, 1 to 24. There in verse 23, you will see, for by your sorcerers we all nations deceived, which leads you to Revelation 12, 9, where you read how the dragon, Nashash, deceivers, the whole Tapal world, and verse 12 cast down to Ta'a, earth. Then Revelation 12:9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. We was cast out in the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. This is King James Version, 1611 AD. followed by Malachi 3:5. And I, as Malachi, I am here to warn you of these religions created by these sorcerers. And makes reference to Exodus 7:11, Jeremiah 27:9, Daniel 2:2, Revelations 21:8, Revelations 22:15. For they, as warlocks, are the Sawau, sons of witches, of Wiccans, called Druids, Isaiah 15:3. But drawn near ether, ye sons of the sorcerers, the seed of adulterer and the war, and life by it to this Sawau sons, only they use new Ranat at names for their Kidem Zam at ancient religions. Reference to,
if you could can
yes,
you jump to the verse that you was making reference to?
Isaiah 47.
I know
9.
you said that about the covenant, you said, or
The question itself,
yeah.
yes, I want to. The question is, can you elaborate on the covenants between the aliens and the sons of the witches, Wiccans, and sorcerers?
Oh,
What type of covenant was that?
all right. Hang on, is that written in the book there? Does it state in the book there?
Yeah,
Have you come to that
goes
yet?
to be long. Let me go to the last verse on which this comes up, which is 4, that says, "These Sawau, sons of Gadadu gods, who came down and Gasuba raped the Adamu Sawatatu Adomite's daughters, and Lamuda taught them Laban Megas white magic."
Mm.
This is where it ends, but it's a bit long.
All right.
Uh,
Right. Yeah. The covenant basically was two covenants. Here we come from now. Yeah, the two covenants was first to till the ground, they wanted slaves, and also they wanted food. So the covenant was for them to that's what the whole religion is all about. Um, if you go to Genesis, Genesis, I think it's Genesis chapter 2. I'll just find it. To pull it up now. Because I'm saying,
I guess there's a verse here that is more illustrative. May I read it?
yeah, please.
Which is the verse 28 that says, "They made covenants with aliens beings, my muziad mutatliatu, extraterrestrials. They worship as deities, as well as these aliens offspring who they call sons of God, son of."
Terry?
Maybe this part can help elaborate the answer though.
Okay, go on. You just cut out there. Did you just cut out or just pause?
29, I'll continue.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Some are benevolent, good. 30. Some are malevolent, evil. 31. And gave the power to the Adomites to become maleficent. 32. As a result of grafting and separating with their Yakashat genes, they became hybrids and deformed as malformation, abdominal bodies, malfunction, abdominal minds. The result, you see how they live in their image of the Makrabu, Karabu, cherubims, sons of Elohim, Nephilim, who are the disagreeable angelic beings.
Right.
So they are malefactors by day, disagreeable, wicked, evil, unnatural, fatar, nature, as their own Safaf book of Moses says in Genesis 6:15.
Right, yeah. I hear where you're coming from. Right. You had going back into their holy books, if you go to Genesis chapter 2 and read verse 5, it says, let me start from verse 4. Genesis 2:4, it reads, these are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. 5. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. I mean, that word till, let's see what the word I think is, what that word till, if you go into the Hebrew. Let's read in the Blue Letter Bible here. And the word there is, it's got here, the word there to till is abad. That word abad means slave. Means that so according in the Bible, the Adamite was created to do two things. One, to till the ground. Two, to become food for the gods. These gods, you talk about the draconians or these reptilians. And the reason for that was because it was the Pleiadians who had been eaten by these Tanad or draconians as food, and they didn't want that. So they made Adamite in their image and after their likeness to be eaten for food and was diseased. Now, if you jump to religion and today, religion with like the religion of Abraham, the reason why they have all these covenants was towards these disagreeable beings. And the covenant basically was the covenant of circumcision, which was given to Abraham, and all those that followed the religion of Abraham was to become food, was so that they won't become food for the gods. And all the Passover and all these so-called what do you call it, the Eucharist and all these things in religion, in Christianity, the Passover as it pertains to Jewishism or Mosesism, and the so-called Eucharist, the blood of Christ, which is the wine, and the bread, which is representative of the flesh, and Ramadan, and etc., etc. All these pertain, they don't even know the true history or the true story of these so-called religious festivals that they have pertains to or relates to these carnivorous gods of the Bible and the covenant that was made to them. If you go right up to date now in 2025 AD, what the covenant that they had with the beings now is give us human, it's about 100,000 a day, and in return the human bodies, in return for technology. So all these missing children and wars, etc., etc., that helps to bump up the quota. So that covenant is still going on even as we speak. But the thing about it is that they get deceived anyway. I just want to read that, Zamal?
Yeah.
Got brother here, Usiel, want to read something that pertains to the subject matter? Go ahead, Zamal, please.
Can I be heard? Can I be heard online?
Yes.
Well, so this is from Part of Court, the decision. Okay, so it reads from chapter 11, verse 1 to 27, pages 1 to 7. Pa damam, the blood. I repeat again, is the decision, Part of Court. And the chapter is called Pa damam, the blood. Bi ashuk nakuk rahub amtkum. Aye marura khadadu shalel wu-nuwaup. Wu-nuwaupu mukhlas uru Lahe Salal Nun. Wu-Sabat, Wu-Takwam Shalel Nawapia, Na-Tuk Nawapui. With divine love, I greet you, my beloved children of wu-nuwaup, Nuwaupian saviors to our race and tribe and nation of Nuwapia, speaking Nuwaupic. Once Gajua lost, yet now found, you have suffered much at the hands of Adamites and their alien overlords, whom they call gods, El Elohim, Allah, Alihat, and many other Rananat names in the many dialects they created from the one taught them, Genesis 11:1, verse 3. And those gods and angels of their Bible and Quran, be he Yahweh, Adonai, Rab, are carnivores, as seen in Genesis 18, verse 1 to 8. They ask the Haradu, children of Adam, to Razuk, provide them with flesh and blood to attract them. The gushing forth of damam blood from an open cut will bring them near. Mukmam damam, human blood, or the bat damam, beast blood, as you see in 1 Kings 18:27 to 28. Their God, O Lord God, loves the smell of cooking meat, as you see, Genesis chapter 8, verse 20 to 21, a sweet savor. Their gods only respects offerings of flocks or jasad meat, as you see, mubra, bara, or carnivores over vegetables, as muasab, asab, or herbivores, as you see in Genesis 4, chapter 4, 2 to 5. Their gods taught them, the Hebrews, how to kill, war, fight, murder other people, non-Hebrews, throughout the Bible and the Quran, too many to list. Their gods taught them how to cut up, paruk, divide, and call flesh meat, as you see in Leviticus. So if you read the whole of Leviticus, it will actually show you.
Cookbook.
It's a cookbook. Nuwaupians, if you read them, you see that these offerings, obligations, and sacrifices were to be eaten, used as food. And when the gods in Genesis 22, 1 to 13, asked the Hebrew man named Abraham, Genesis 14:13, to offer his son Isaac as a bashar wu-damam, human flesh and blood, offering, to cut him up and to cook him on an altar in order to eat Isaac. No all-knowing God needs to test a mortal if he or they already know all things in man's akal mind and above heart. So it was not a test of faith. So the God of gods, El or Elohim, Allah or Alihat, are not just Mubra, Bara or carnivores. They are also Mufneu, Bashar, cannibals. And so was the race of Adamites, and their offerings to the Gibborat of Genesis 6:5, also found in lost yet now found books that have the complete story of this event of Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 to 5. 1, the book of Enoch, chapter 7, verse 1 to 13. 2, the book of Jubilees, chapter 5, verse 1 to 13. I could go on, but it pretty much, if you read if you're able to get the book Patakro, it will give you a lot of quotes and a lot of insight as well into your question. But yeah, I think you alluded to that as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned it.
Okay, did that help, Zamal?
Yeah, 100%. Appreciate it, Zamal.
You're welcome.
That's well noted. Just one more question, and we go, which is I want to understand how speaking with the dead can help to predict the future, because they're dead, the necromancy, how that works. If they're dead, how can they help to predict the future?
Okay. That's a good question. So when we say necromancy, what you're actually saying is religion. Religion basically, as Marcia puts it, interference of the dead into the lives of the future. Now, what they would do is when they evoke the dead forces, when you say necromancy, you're talking about ghostational forces. And these ghostational forces, as we're taught, they are conscious and conscious gases of a lesser composition than 6 ether and even, or definitely lesser than 9 ether. So what these forces would do is this, by of necromancy, these ghostational forces, what they would do, they would tell them the future. However, they'll give them right knowledge with trick knowledge. They won't give them the totality. What they would do, because what they would do is they would use the individual for their own bidding or doing, just so that they can experience life in the physical for that moment in time, and they don't really care whether or not it will result in the death of that body that they're using. So the prediction of the future, it won't be in its totality or true essence. You get that?
I get that. And, it's funny because you mentioned that is technology. That's what the dead can experience life, and when it comes to the actually future, it's not even accurate.
That's right. Now, if you go to, I think go to the Revelation chapter 12. You're looking at chapter 12, I think verse 7. Let me pull it up. And it reads, okay, maybe chapter 12, Revelation chapter 12, verse 7. Read like this. And there was war in heaven. And the word heaven is Uranus, or the Rhine skies, Rhine star. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. I think we mentioned this many times. Michael and his angels, the word for angels is messengers, fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, or messengers, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. These are the dragon and his angels, or his messengers. 9. And the great dragon was cast out of the Rhine stars, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels or messengers were cast out with him. So what this is actually saying is you have two types of messengers on the planet. You have those that are giving out or propagating right knowledge, and those that are propagating trick knowledge. You decide who is who. So, and it's got here, it says it here, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him, his angels or his messengers. So that alone tells you what we've got running simultaneously on this planet. We have Michael and his angels of right knowledge. We have the devil or the dragonian and his angels with trick knowledge running simultaneously. Okay. Did that help them out?
Well noted, Zamal. So, in a summary, regarding the first question, which Shambhala is the interests that you mentioned, and regarding the covenant is more about food in exchange for technology, and predicting the future through the death is not even accurate. It's more for them to experience life through the humans. Correct?
That's right. So
I appreciate love, Zamal.
you're welcome, Zamal. So, so that's what the master teacher said it. He said it like that. He said that religion basically is interference of the dead into the lives of the living, those ghostational forces. And the more that we, whether knowingly or unknowingly, the more that we prey to these gravitational forces, the more we prolong their existence within the atmosphere. But not for long, because Wu-Sabat, wu-nuwaup is here now, and this doctrine is changing the constitution or the polarity of the planet or the atmosphere. Really, we should be really saying, as it mentions, as it says in the Sacred Wings of Tahuti, the 9 doctrines or principles, or really, when you actually think about it, what we've been given by way of the master teacher is really an operating system or operating systems, to change. But as you said, as you just said, that use that word, the constitution or the atmosphere of the planet. See, so what we are given is just that. We are being the master teaching us the Egyptian mystery system, which an Egyptian mystery system was brought to the planet by way of the higher beings, and one of them has incarnated and walks amongst us in the flesh, giving us the highest of affirmation in existence, we should really say. But as we know, as we've read from the it's Jesus' God book, there are levels and degrees upon degrees upon degrees of higher outformation coming from the 4th dimension extended. Okay? All that helps somehow?
100%. Appreciate of Ashok.
Ashok somehow. Any more? It's good that we should ask as much questions as we can, because within the word question, we hear the word quest or journey that we're on. And I remember a brother once said that at university level, he said that the ones who ask the least amount of questions tend to be the Nagaru or Negroid. So we should really ask as much questions as we can and do our due diligence, to set the record straight. The master always says that, don't believe me, check it out. See, and by asking questions, we are in actuality expanding our consciousness. Okay, so we could absorb more knowledge. So it's a two-way thing: ask questions and teach. But what we teach, as the master teacher puts it, is what we need to know. Okay, so the master.
There was another question in the chat.
Oh, go ahead, please.
It's Rahubat question. How will you know if the thoughts of desire, lust, etc. are coming from yourself, my soul, or disagreeable spirits, 27 spirits, or 6 ether spirits? Between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., I have been getting thoughts of lust and desires for 2 days. I want to hear your thoughts about this, and or Dr. York, the master teacher, has any book about this. Thank you.
Well, that's a very good question. What? I mean, genetic kiss. I need to pull up some. Okay, brother mentioned genetic kiss, but let me just say it like this: the sex force is a very powerful force, which is ruled by 6 ether forces. Is there a scroll I could refer you to? Let me look. Let me see if there's something here. I'm reading from the scroll. It's an old scroll the master teacher puts out called "Breaking the Spell on Blacks." It's one of my favorite scrolls. I'm going to see if I can read the excerpt from here. See if I could read the excerpt from here. Pertaining to the sex forces. If not, I'll just it's a very, very good question. That is okay. I found it. I found this is page 39, the scroll Breaking the Spell on Blacks, one of the old Right Knowledge series, and it reads this. Of course, this means that Amam, Leviathan, is a very powerful and very deceptive. That word Leviathan means Levi. I have to break the word down because the brother mentioned that earlier on. The word Leviathan, you hear the word Levi or Leviticus. The word Levi is law, and Nathan means sin, basically the law of sin. Of course, this means that Amam or Leviathan is very powerful and very deceptive. In fact, Amam Leviathan are the forces of trickery, the source of trick knowledge, deception, and hypocrisy. He is a flat-out liar. Amam Leviathan is also a strong sex force that has control over all that submit to lust of what is offered. Lust is not only in reference to the sexual aspect, but is also demonstrated by the very fact that you want everything that you see. The luster or glimmer of gold is what attracts you. If it is something natural and taps into your innocence, for even a child, if given a choice between a shiny penny and $1 million bill, the child will go for the glitter of that shiny coin. So here is referencing lust and luster, something that's that has attraction of glitter. So when you're making reference to lust as in terms of the sex force, it's something that's within the atmosphere and that we're taking in that has an effect on our minds. So when we go to sleep, it plays on our minds. The way to so that thought or force is coming from our lower mindset, our lower nature, I should say. It's coming from our lower nature. It's just all that's happening is it just elevating to the surface. The way to combat that really is you have to look at your diet as well. Diet plays a very important part. And also, I do recommend do a lot of breathing exercise, basically a lot of spiritual works before you go to sleep, because reading the scrolls, you may not be into chanting, but if you read a scroll before you go to bed, or what it does is that Wu-Sabat is when you're reading the doctrine is very much alive, and it will act as a protection even when you're sleeping, just by the mere reading of the scrolls. So there are dimensions to these scrolls, and it's not just surface information, it is outformation coming from the fourth dimension extended. So once again, I do recommend you, the way to combat that is look at your diet. Diet is also a factor as well. And also what we absorb, not just through our food intake, but what we allow to intake by way of our eyes. Okay, so that's a very force that is propagated daily. You can't really get rid of it, but in totality. But what we can do, we can subdue it by way of our own senses. Okay. Hope that's answered the question. Whoever made that.
That was Dara's mark. There's another question. Zephaniah McNeil. Are there any scrolls on sleep? How much should we use? How much is enough for me to function with peace and understanding? Besides, what meditation may I do?
So can you repeat the question again, please, Samantha?
Sure. Are there any scrolls on sleep?
On sleep.
How much should we use? How much is enough for me to function with peace and understanding? Besides, what meditation may I do?
Okay. You see, in terms of sleep, everybody's different in terms of the amount of hours that they sleep. So there's no hard and fast rules about that. But if you have what the master did say is they meant to have about 4 hours sleep, but that's something that you have to work up to. If you sleep 8 hours a day, then that's about 1/3 of your life. It's 24 hours in a day, and you sleep in 8 hours, that's about 1/3 of your life. The master does have scrolls pertaining to meditation. We have scrolls on there's a scroll on concentration, there's a scroll on relaxation, we have the chanting. Again, in terms of how many hours, the master does recommend about 4 hours sleep. He had a scroll called Purity and Neatness, if I can recollect, that talks about the amount of hours that we should be sleeping. I think, yeah, it's roughly about 4 hours. Some people need more, some people need less. Okay, and you'll find that if you're in a tropical country, you find you don't really need that much sleep. You know, somewhere over here in the West, I find I need a lot of sleep over here. When you go on holiday, you find you don't really need to sleep that much. I mean, so the sun does play a part as well. So again, we say diet as well. You see, and also not only diet, but the hours when we do eat, because there's a cycle they call the cycle when we should take in food, which is the preparation cycle, which is between the hours of 12 noon and 8 p.m. That's the preparation cycle. There's a cycle called the assimilation cycle, which is from 8 to about 4 a.m. Assimilation cycle is a cycle where we should allow the food to digest. This is from 8 to 4 a.m. and the elimination cycle is from 4 a.m. to 12 noon the following day. And also got your circadian rhythm. So there are cycles upon the cycles, but that alone, if you start eating, have your first meal from 12 noon, that is a discipline in itself. Outside of those hours, you can have water-based fruits or vegetables, or drink plenty of fluids, you see. So in terms of sleep, that is, do you know something like this? Do you know that you can program yourself to wake up anytime without the use of an alarm clock? And the way to do that is simply to say to yourself before you go to sleep, I want to wake up at such and such time, and because you're now programming yourself, and let's say you go to sleep at 10:30 p.m. and you want to wake up at 3:45 a.m. You just say to yourself, I want to wake up at 3:45 a.m. and lo and behold, you will wake up at 3:45 a.m. or just before. But here it is. The challenge now is whether you can get out of bed at 3:45. That is a discipline in itself, but it works all the time, every time. That's what, do you know that the solutions is really simple. Go ahead.
I just want to confirm that that is actual facts. I do that myself. Give
Cool.
myself a time and I get up at that time. It does work.
It does work.
Clear.
You're welcome. Thanks for the confirmation, Zamal. You confirm what I've experienced. Yeah, you don't need an alarm clock. In actuality, our body, when you go to sleep, we have the brainwave frequency patterns. That as you begin to, when we are awake, our body, the brainwave activity oscillates, and they log it as the beta level, the alpha level, and theta and delta level. The beta level is when we are awake, and as we begin to get drowsy, the brainwave activity level drops down to the alpha state. Now, as it drops down to the alpha state, as you're about to get drowsy, you say to yourself, I want to wake up at 3:45 a.m. You may get used to waking up at 7:45 a.m., but you say, I want to wake up at 3:45 a.m. And as you go to sleep now, you just made you program your subconscious mind to wake up at that specific time. And your brainwave activity level as 3:45 a.m. becomes nearer, your brainwave frequency level will start to rise up to that waking state between the alpha and beta level, and you will wake up. Don't believe me, or say, don't believe us, check it out. And the more you practice this, the more confidence you have in yourself in these activities, the more you begin to realign yourself with yourself. And they call it in quantum physics, quantum mechanics, what's that term they use in quantum physics and quantum mechanics? When you align yourself with yourself and all that surrounds you, there's a word they use. So alignment. I can't remember the term, just escaped me. But yeah, it does work. That's the
Robots and that.
Rockabat.
Nadam for not putting my hand up in the chat. I can't figure out how to do it on my phone.
No problem.
But I have a question. May I be heard?
Go ahead.
Sure. So, in regards to what you were saying about it being easier to sleep less in hotter countries, would you say that doing certain things would help essentially keep you awake and essentially keep you sleeping less? For that, basically keeps your body warm, so like exercise and drinking hot drinks and things like that, because you're keeping the body temperature warm. Does that kind of affect it if we are living in cold countries?
Right. Do you know something? Even remember what we just said, about waking up at a certain time. It's that simple. Just programming something that I want to wake up at such and such time, and you will wake up at that time. Yeah, it's that simple. When you're eating foods, though, the food should be light and nutritious. But you told that to a brother or a sister, because when we go to the restaurant, right, we don't like no light. We want some heavy thing to make sure that it settles in the body. When things settle in the body, you try to wake up at 3:45 a.m. Tell me about it. Anyway, so a lot of it's got to do with diet. But again, it's programming. It's programming as well. Now, here it is, saying that. I was going to deviate slightly. I talked to one brother today, and he flies all over the place as part of his work. He said to me today he went to Atlanta as a business meeting. I go, so what about jet lag? It's what his brother said to me, and I learned this today. He said to me, you leave UK to go to Atlanta. And he said to me, with jet lag, what you do is you just don't sleep when you know you should sleep. I go, what? He goes, yeah, you may think it's 9 o'clock at night in the UK, and it's, what's it, 5 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock in Atlanta. He goes, you just work through it. Just work through it. Because if you don't do that, because you will suffer from jet lag. The way to beat jet lag is simply to work through it. And when it's 10 o'clock or 10:30 Atlanta time, just go to sleep at that time. Because it's that simple. Because, wow, I just learned something new. So it's just a matter of programming yourself. That's what it is, Samantha, So hot drinks, cold drinks, you could do away with all that drink because you may forget one day. The brother would say something.
No, just what we discussed regarding genes are reprogrammable. By reprogramming your genes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And Samantha said just by reprogramming your genes that you can offset those conditions. It's that simple. It's really that simple. And you program with yourself. Do you know what? You could say to yourself audibly, I want to wake up at 3:45 a.m. Or you could say it mentally, I want to wake up at 3:45 a.m. and you will wake up at 3:44 a.m.
Truth is truth.
Truth is truth. It's that simple. If you want hot drink, cold drink, And you find out you still oversleep. But then, brother, I have to. You said that. So then I'll come back again. You say, brother, you said that hot drink, a hot cup of cocoa will make me wake up, or Milo will make me wake up, and I overslept and I never got the job. So yeah, it's that simple. It is that simple. The remedies, the Master Teacher says, the solution to our problems is simplicity. What it is that we have been conditioned or programmed or brain dirty to think in terms of complexity when it is, in actuality, simplicity. Life is simple. So I hope that helps, Zanalta.
To a towel tag.
So when you try it, then come back to us and say, yeah, I tried it. I woke up at 3:44 a.m. and I wanted to wake up at 3:45 a.m.
Yeah, if I lose my job, I'll come back to you.
Okay, right. Cool. Padir. Anybody else? Don't be shy, fam. We're all family here. Is that it? No more questions? So, hey, you know what? If there's no more questions, we fulfilled our job, our duty. We've done our job. No more questions. Boy, if you've got no more questions, you know what should happen? We should go home now. You know what? We asked you questions. If you asked to listen to all this while, who's first on the list? You've got here, that's not sure. Brown Sugar 72. Let's ask Brown Sugar some questions because Brown Sugar's got no questions. We got ask D. Hey, there's a whole lot of people we got ask questions because you know what? I've got 720 questions I'd like to be asked. I'd like to be answered. No more questions, fam?
Yeah, Rahubat. Zaman. So my question is, what type of timing system did our ancestors use? Was it different than these 24 hours that we use? And just curious about that because I know they didn't use this time that we're using right now. So
yeah,
explanations to that.
Hey, do you know what? That's a really simple question. The answer to that is they use natural time. They use natural time. That's it. They worked off of the planet, yeah, the motion of the planet, the sun, moon, and stars. That's a very good question. Now, check this out. If you go to Genesis chapter 1, and I was reading this to my son today. If you go to Genesis chapter 1, and let's start on verse 1. And it reads, well, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Verse 2, it reads, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moves upon the face of the waters. And hear this now. Verse 3 says, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. Verse 4, and God saw the light. So God said, let there be light. That was a commandment he said to someone or something. Let there be light, and there was light. Verse 4, and God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. Now, what this is saying here is there was darkness the planet was in darkness, or let's say this part of the planet was in darkness. And God said, let there be light or illumination. And there was light, there was illumination. And God saw the light or the illumination that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness, or separated the light from the darkness. Now, the question to ask is, what was obscuring the light? People think that it's the creation of the sun, but it's not. And in terms, now hear this now, verse 5, to answer your question. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Here is the time. This is the time frame now. And the evening and the morning were the first day. That means, according to God, the first day was evening to the morning. Now let's say the sun sets at 6 p.m. and that is evening is when the sun appears to set. Anundre. Sorry, no. Amundre. Okay, so at Amundre to Atumbre, when the sun appears to rise, that period from evening to morning or to dawn will be the first day. And not from, so when the sun rises to when the sun sets, that's what is referred to as the first day, but in actuality, it's the other way around. It's when the sun appears to set, evening to when the sun appears to rise, is what, according to the Bible, that is the time frame that we should be going by. So when you ask a very good question, what time did our ancestors go by or calibrate time by in the way of the celestial bodies? You see? So, because we know that the 24-hour day is inaccurate. And also the calendar dates, 28 days some months, 29 days some months, 30 days some months, 31 days some months. It's all messed up and it's done deliberately. You have the AD calendar, you have the BC calendar, name of the month, it's all messed up. And right now in 2025, you can see how time is speeded up. So that is letting us know that how we calibrate time should change. It's like time right now, it's like on fast forward. See, so that means that we have to recalibrate, or as we say, reverse engineer our thought processes. See, however, the master teacher does explain that we are in what's referred to as set time, and we have to, because there are many time frames, because our own body has its own time system. We have set time or fate time, and we have to work. We cannot work. We have to know how to maneuver in and out of fate time and real time. Otherwise, we go crazy. Okay, and that you'll find in the Holy Tablets. That's chapter 1. Yeah. So I'll find a quote for you. Let me find it. I'm going to see if I can find that quote there. It talks about time. It's in chapter 1. So we'll can't find it. It's see if I find it for you. I'll be there. Explain it. Can't find the quote. I know, but can't find the quote in it. I can't find the quote right now offhand. I've seen the Holy Tablet. He talks about set time and our own zero time reference, and how we live in set time.
You have Black Book Part 1?
Part 1, yeah.
That's because of the time in the
Oh, look at that. Remember the quote come out? Didn't find it in the Black Book. Nothing in the Holy Tablets there. Talks about set time and fake time. Look at the Holy Tablets. Yeah. I like the phrasing of the month. Can't find this one. What did we come back to that? Find it. Okay. So I hope that helps, Amal, in terms of.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that did help. But so are we responsible of slowing down the time and bringing it back to natural phase, or it'll naturally come back on itself?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Time does not move in a direction. Time just is. And when we say time just is, it is existence. Now, what we have to do is align ourselves with natural time. That way, we'll be working in that's the synchronicity with, that's the word I wanted to think of, synchronicity. We'll be working in synchronicity with real time. And that time, the master teacher calls it now, because when we think about the past, we're thinking about it right now, and when we think about the future, we're thinking about it right now. So the master teacher put it like this: the future has already happened, and the past is still happening. So if the future has already happened, that means then that, and the past is still happening, there's only now. All we have to do is recalibrate our minds and know that we can we affect the future? There is not one future. They call it multiple potentialities. In quantum physics, that's what they use. The term used is multiple potentialities. What path? There are multiple paths we can take, and each path results in a different fate. You see? Okay. However, there is a thing called predestination that's been pre-encoded into our DNA. And the master said that even if you sway off the path, the higher beings can bring you back onto that path that you should be taken if you have a very important mission to accomplish, or they want you to accomplish. Like the master teacher, you see, he didn't want the job that he has, but he had a mission. The higher beings had a mission for the master to accomplish, and he had to come to that realization of who and what he is. Okay, so I hope that helps, Amal.
It is, Amal.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Any more questions? So basically, we have the power. The power is within inside of us. The forces are within inside of us. When we say we should not look out for divinity, shouldn't look outside of self for divinity, for the divine resides within inside of us. And that's why we say, I am one with the all, and the all is one with me. See, we are those beings, and those beings are us. So the journey is inward and outward. So when we make connection with our higher self, we are making connection with our most lawful ancestors, the higher ones. We're making connection with our wu-nuwaup relatives who's crossed over, and we make connection with the higher beings, wu-nuwaup. And if you reach the higher heights of perfection, you're making the grade or connection to the Christians. Okay, so yeah, we are those beings, and those beings are us. Okay, and we have all the information really is pre-encoded within our DNA. All it is just in a inert or dormant state. And the genetic explosions that we have, that we refer to, is an awakening. That we wake up, a genetic explosion. Oh, hey, that makes sense. And you're waking up. And the more genetic explosions that we have, the more brain cells and communication from one neuron to the next we are making. So it's a form of neuroplasticity, regrowing new neurons. And as we regrowing new neurons and increasing the amount of communication between one neuron and the next, our intelligence is expanding. Okay, and this is the power of Baba Yanana that is given us, or the knowledge, or the information, or the affirmation that is given us towards our elevation, and ultimately love between self and kind. Okay. Any more questions? I hope that helps, Samal, and for those of you who are listening audience. Any more? Let me just read something here, as Lucia mentioned. It's got here. This is coming. This is coming from the scroll. Intelligent design, divine design, or plot of aliens. Actual fact number 46. I'm reading from page 22, and it says here. I'm reading from verse 71, and it reads: Genes are not locked into a specific code, unchangeable, and can change on a daily basis, and they do just that. The Wapians, wu-nuwaupu, the Wapians change you. Okay. I'm going to read that bit again. That's how it's written. Genes, verse 71, genes are not locked in the Pacific code, unchangeable, and can change on a daily basis, and they do just that, wu-nuwaupu, the Wapians. Your genes change you, and you think you're in love when you are not. And it's got here 73. How mortals were able to alter their physical appearance, and this has been recorded the world over. It goes on to say, it goes into a morphic resonance, which is something else. Okay. So that's a very good scroll on the delve deeper. Intelligent design, divine design, or plot of aliens. Natural ether energy and neuroscience of wu-nuwaup also delves into this subject matter as well. Okay. Any more questions? Clubhouse, you seem to be kind of quiet over there. Zoom, any more?
No more questions on Zoom, someone.
No more questions on Zoom. No more questions on the Clubhouse. Hey, oh, go ahead.
Can we have a little bit of a breakdown on like a day in the life of our ancestors in terms of like what they would do from when they wake till when they sleep? So, for example, they would wake up and the first thing that they would do would be to chant, or maybe the first thing that they would do to be to cleanse and then chant, and then they'll change their bed sheets. Just a general breakdown of what they would do throughout the day.
Good, the ancestors.
Oh, sorry. I mean, like us as Sabians. When I say ancestors, I just mean like what we were supposed to be doing, or what we would have been doing if we were in our proper state.
Oh, right, yeah. In our proper state, we would we'll be building. That's what we'd be building. That's what we'd be doing. We'd be building, continuously building, and elevating to higher heights of perfection. That's the whole purpose. The master teacher said in an AO scroll that in our prime state, we only worked about I think he said about 4 hours a day. No, 4 hours a week. But what was he doing during the rest of the time? Just playing games? No. We had an advanced civilization. We wasn't working as hard as we do here. So in our advanced state, we will definitely be building and become caretakers of the planet. And not only that, not only caretakers of the planet, but you're talking about this Wu-Sabat. Basically, it's a bigger picture. It's not just about us here on the planet, but you're talking about galactically. We become like them, and having overseen different star systems and different planets, etc., etc. That's what they do on a galactical level and a universal level, elevate to higher heights of perfection. Okay. So sometimes I hope that helps them out. I'll try to do my best on that.
That's okay. Tell that.
Rituals,
Yeah.
rituals to keep in communion with our ancestors.
Brother Usia wants to say something about the rituals.
Yeah, two as about so by way of doctrine, because obviously human nature would dictate and determine what you do as a an animal or divine being as a god. But by way of doctrine teaches us that Sabians have rituals that we perform. We have our solstice rituals. We have our days when we chant to our ancestors on the days that we're born. We do fasting, meditating, communing with our ancestors on a daily basis, whether it's uttering it vocally or mentally, chanting it in our mind's eye and visualizing. So those would be like the precepts and concepts of what we'll be doing on a day-to-day basis as Sabians, Nuwaupians, and constantly keeping in tune. And as the brother said, we build, but those two, building is not just physical building, monuments and stuff. It was the building of your character, so you're building your character, you're helping others to be improving their character, etc. So it was a constant day-to-day work on your being, because you knew ultimately you were going back to the stars. So the rituals and the communion with your ancestors, the fasting, meditating, eating the right foods, the times of when to eat, etc. All of these things, by way of doctrine, it teaches you this. But as I said, the caveat is that you have individuals, especially in this day and time, because we're so mixed. That's why the master has always said, I'm not going to prescribe to you a day-to-day living, of what you should eat, this, and because most of us won't follow it anyway. So you have to find that formula that works for you as a Sabian or Nuwaupian and stick to that formula and develop yourself to become that supreme being. So I hope that helps. And obviously, if you got Kharadu, then you obviously teach your Kharadu the similar principles and concepts of their mind, how to shape their mind, looking after their bodies, how to breathe properly. All these aspects is what we as Sabians advocate. But, human nature would dictate, ancestral spirit forces will dictate how you conduct yourself on a day-to-day basis. I hope that helps.
Sure, tell that.
So, Mal, can I add to that as well? Because when you mentioned, Haptui mentioned about building, there's also the literal building. So we would have to be building homes, we would be sewing, we would be doing all those kind of stuff because we wore clothes, all that aspect would have taken place as well. So I just think that's a part that we forgot to mention as well.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned that, and because what came to my mind right now is the fact that all this encompasses of our culture. We build structures. In actuality, if you read Tones, Frequencies, and Vibrations, Astral Fact number 18, in there the master teaches how the structures that we built were alive. They like for example, like the pyramids, so our structures were alive. They were built in such a way that when we did our rituals, as Brother did mention, it created resonance It gave us the ability to communicate with beings from on high. So, and now everything, all of that about building, you talk about our attire, all this, our whole way of life all come under the umbrella of culture. Culture is everything, and everything is culture, and culture is our means of identification. As we say, without a culture, who are you really? And what has happened is we have been so misplaced or disenfranchised that we take on a foreign culture or an alien culture, and there's a word for that which is called acculturation. Adopting a culture that is not our own or was not created by us for us. We're adopting a culture that was created for other than self and kind. Therefore, and thereby, we lose identity of self. Okay. So culture basically is all encompassing. So, any more? Any more questions? Do we have something on Zoom? I can't really see a message. I saw a message that's come up. I can't really retrieve it. About the phases of the moon and mental health. Well, I think the question, if I can remember, it just popped out, then it went away. Can't really retrieve it. But the question basically was about the phases of the moon and mental health. I mean, I answered that already. But just to say that the phases of the moon does have an effect on mental health. Yeah. Just like you said, the moon cycle had an effect on mental health. Okay. Any more questions, Moisa? No more questions? No questions? Nothing whatsoever? Let me just read an excerpt from this is just in an excerpt we talk about genes, and this is coming from Man from Planet Risk. We have pre-encoded information in our DNA genes. It is encoded in your genes to have a vivid imagination. After that, it is encoded to have a vague imagination. A child has to be taught how to become vague. Vivid is positive, vague is negative. High achievers have a highly developed vivid imagination. Underachievers have a highly developed low imagination. Once the principle of vividness and vagueness manifests in the genes, will is born, willpower. Will is the ability to decide upon a course of action. Question: can we develop the ability to rewrite what has been encoded in our genes? Yeah, answer: certain things we can, not everything. You were born or pre-encoded with 360 degrees of knowledge, 100 degrees of positive and attracting or pulling force, centripetal masculine, and 180 degrees of negative and repelling or pushing force, centrifugal feminine. Now, when you say positive and negative, we don't mean as in good and bad, mean in terms of polarity. The beings, Panavaru, that created us have encoded all of these things in our genes. Vividness is, I know exactly what I want. Vagueness is just opposite. The weaker and lower side of human beings lean towards being vague. The divine and supreme side, encoded, lean towards being vivid, concise, precise, and exact. It's got here, a person could be living in a certain way or hanging out with certain people. then comes across Wu-Sabat, and their life takes a turn in a new direction, and that also has been pre-encoded in their genes. Okay, so there are certain things. Since thoughts are the most powerful force in the universe, Wu-Sabat can transform the minds of the people. And Master goes on to say, old people's children are smarter, or that child has an old soul. Not old or aged as the physical body, but a nourished elder by time and space, wisdom and intellect. A soul that overstands by way of its inner heart. The temple of the human soul is built by 3 master masons personifying wisdom, love, and science. You can find this all in the Math and Academy. I just read the excerpts from here. Service is the vehicle by which one is able to travel. Love is the zeal and speed one travels. But wisdom is the way one travels. Wisdom makes you perceptive of the source of all things. It raises your intellect intuitively. The brain is a hologramic computer. Oh, this is excess coming from Fontana Risk, where there's a lot of jewels inside there. It's worth, if you haven't got that particular scroll, man from Fontana Risk, we do one of those scrolls that's highly recommended. Hey, any more, fam? Any more questions? Is that it? Okay, first off, the class, nobody got no questions. At least we know that we've done our job. Fam? No questions? I'll look for a scroll to read you all, if no one's got no questions. None whatsoever? I'll be cutting new grounds here in class.
Robert, Samar.
Robert,
I have another question.
go ahead.
So I know that in the most ideal situation, we would all be working for each other or working for ourselves or for our community. But are there kind of like any like set rules in place to say there are specific places that you really shouldn't be working in if you are to be in? For example, some place that you would consider kind of like poisoning people. So for example, if you're to be in, why are you in McDonald's? Is there kind of like any kind of set rules around that?
Oh, what certain? Do you know something? Sometimes, sometimes we have to do a particular job just as a means to an end to achieve a certain goal, and after that, just move on to the next level. I hear what you're saying. Let's say somebody they need a job to support themselves or their family, and they get a job working in a bar or a strip joint, but it's only there to keep it real. The person may want to get a job working in a strip joint, keep it real, but that it's only for that's to make ends meet. Yeah, say behind the bar. Person works in a strip joint, and just to make ends meet, then reach, just for specific, for a purpose, as a means to an end, then they achieve the goal, then say, hey, achieve what I need to achieve, then move on. You see, so or sometimes you may not like eating pork sausages, but that's what you could afford, and work in a meat shop or whatever. So no, we've got to reason things out, So you got what do you do? Other stand on the streets asking for handouts, or get off your butt, do some work to make ends meet. So it's one of them things, It's no now we've got to reason things out, and say, if this is the only job that's available for me to do, and you do it and achieve your goal, then move on to the next avenue. See, ultimately, it is working for self and kind. Work for, of, and by each other. The masters put it like this: we buy from each other and sell to everybody. Yeah, so that's the ultimate. We buy from each other and sell to everybody on the planet. We should really delve into international commerce. You see, Wu-Sabat Master also said that wu-nuwaup, Wu-Sabat, as a Sabian, he said that we should be amongst the richest people on the planet. That's what he said. Because what we've been given is priceless. It's just a matter of us whether or not we're going to put what we've been taught into action. See? So, as everything else, that takes time, doesn't it? The thing called time or awakening. Okay. I hope that answers your questions about that.
Yeah, thanks, Amal.
Anything else, Moisar? And just come back to the question that was asked about in our perfected state, what we'd be doing. And I'm just reading from Master Secret, Birth of Earth and the Matrix, number 1, page 3, it reads this. Verse 35, it says here, the Nagaru, QnA, Negro beings were given 24,000 years to accomplish these 24 heights of perfection. So in our prime state, this is what we should be doing. 1, decipher the 24,000 genomes. 2, graft and clone. 3, overcome killer viruses and diseases. So when COVID comes, we should be able to, it should be like a walk in the park. 4, mental or cordless communication of light, sound, and image. 5, space travel. 6, transform Hg80 mercury back to Au79 gold, which is alchemy. 7, split the atom. Now to delve into the subatomic realms, saying here. 8, speak, read, write, and record time. Time, not the 24-hour clock. He's talking about galactical time. 9, organ transplants. 10, genetic manipulation. Know how to manipulate genes. 11, flight. Not talking about being, not talking here flight as in you jump in an airplane, you go to an aviation course. 12, construction, building. 13, time travel. 14, discover the free sun solar system, Razak or Marazak. 15, master music's math in relation to light and sound. 16, agriculture. 17, find the gateway or wormhole. 18, uncover the depths of the seas. 19, uncover the inner earth's realms. 20, know their being inside out, outside in. 21, speak in one tone. 22, teleportation. 23. Uncover the 120th element, which is Omicron. I think it's Omicron. 24. Communication with the spirit world, both dead and extraterrestrials. 36. These were to be accomplished before the hourglass of 24,000 years ran out. Who's accomplished any one of those tasks amongst us? Okay. 37. This has been done on this orb because of hybrids of man or mankind, who by their nature was made to be a distraction, and have for the past 6,000 years done just that, distracted the Nagaru Negroids with a Rake spell of mental sleep. That's because of the moon cycle. 38. The Ayantui, eyes of those who created, watched, and from time to time sent investigators to report back to the Munazaru warners and to warn. 39. To examine all mortals of each Salal race and sub-race, and to see if Nagaru Negroids have accomplished their 24 responsibilities. So in our perfected state, this is what we should have been accomplishing. 40. The Site 24 called Kawak Planet Earth, the blue rock or the blue planet or rock that is protected by the element Cr24 chromium, as are the first world people, the Mennonite children of Nagaru Negroes called Afare Ka'au Africans. So, I want to quickly jump to verse 45. You were born not to rot and die, yet you intermix your divine DNA with those who were given only 6,000 years. 46. Then they would, as the sun's rays touch them on the dawn of the new day, rot, corrode, and deteriorate like Dracula, little by little, after their 6,000 years from 4,000 BC. This is in reference to the ending of the moon cycle, the Gulf cycle. 47. The Caucasoid race and their helpers of sub-races grafted natural food into mankind's synthetic bara'a foods, sharaba'a drinks, smokes, and jasad flesh. They talk about KFC, Mickey D's, and the likes. And they have many Nagaru Negroids eating, drinking, smoking, and breathing their fake, unnatural chemicals. You may buy them fake drinks you're drinking because it looks nice, and it tastes nice. It must be nice, but they're like chemicals you're drinking. Fake edible, fake edible foods targeted for you to eat. What do you call it? GMO. 49. Some call it fast food, like Mickey D's, or processed food, or genetically modified organisms, GMOs, but are designed to remove the natural substances created in each of you to protect your immune system. When our immune system is compromised, they call it autoimmune deficiency syndrome. That's what they call it, 50, and that's what food does. 50. Most fast food restaurants are established by Caucasoids. 51. You need to get approved by them to open it. 52. They check your input to make sure it's not healthy and immune degrading. 53. Junk to downgrade your DNA to junk. So the phrase eat to live is not about how much or how often one eats. 55. It's about natural intake. 56. They seek to reduce your immunity and slowly kill you as they know they are dying. 57. But Mother Nature also has in her more substances for the original black people. 58. Substances found in what is naturally grown on the planet. 59. Substances for your immune system. 60. Just as a newborn mawas baby turns to its mother's breast, for nature has created in the mother a substance called colostrum in her milk that creates immunities. 61. And know this also, like wu-nuwaupians, an accepted partner can bring to your strong immune system their weakness to weaken or even break down your immune system. 62. All Africans have the strongest immune system on this planet. 63. Africans can travel to any part of the planet, drink any water, and fear not sickness or malware death. 64. We have survived many diseases that kill other races. 65. Yet now the Nagaru Negroids who have lived outside of Africa with other Salalu races will become sick and die if they drink Maye water in Africa. Why? 66. Because the Kaksu Kogosois had you living in their own image, eating what they eat, drinking what they drink, and now your immune system has been compromised to a weaker state, and it must be renewed with the proper elements and substances you were gifted with at your creation. 67. You started with pre-matter, antimatter, before the first atom or atomic number 1, H1 hydrogen. I'm going to stop there. Tell you about the state of existences, of how we existed in the state pre-matter. And pre-matter, we talk about the etheric realm, and we also existed before that, the etheric realm, in a state we call pre-existence, which is mental. Okay. So in our perfected state, about that question, what we'll be doing, this is what we would have accomplished. 24, these 24 heights of perfection. Oh, that little bit helps there. We start to know what we have to do. I'm going to just continue reading from here. Let me read from same book. '65, page 8. 95. The Shannon circle or orb is the favorite form of Parnadaru and orb scientists. The 24 elders who keep up with the cycles that are over this planet, of which I'm the 19th, Yanon, 96. We maintain that absolute nature is global and perfectly round, because from any point wheresoever in eternal existence called infinite nature is the center or the roundness or the Khamim Naqat, black dot, 97, because endlessness in omniverse is the same distance in all directions from you, the single point. Master saying, oh, it says it here, next it's about to say something. 98, remember, my child, the center point, you, of a perfect ball orb or circle or cycle is equidistant from all contours of the ball's surface. Everything is in equal distance from you, because we are the center of everything that's around us. 100. Oh, 99. Now you know your purpose and reason of birth, to perfect your Mukwan being and world around you. 100. How do I know these many things, you ask? 101. Well, I was there, which is here, when the word was spoken, Akwun exists. 102. So you, Pa Nagaru, the Negroids, have been given your assignment, and Ta'a Earth is your post to labor. 103. And I am your Munzar warner, bringing you wu-nuwaup / Wu-Sabat, giving you the key, the master keys, to return home to the Najamat, from where your souls have come from. This is his job. 104. For your body was grown here, to be returned as Munzaru, ones of the overseers. 105. If you wish to have your barotheric gland reactivated, come to wu-nuwaup. It's your third eye sight. 106. Remember, other Sololu races only go up to 7 sides, called chakras, while you, Pa-Nagaru, the Negroids, have 9 sites or seats. You have 7 seats, or the 7 chakras, or the 7 endocrine glands, and we have 2 others higher than that have an influence over the other 7. 107. You're not the same as those grafted from you. 108. First, it was you alone on this planet for many millions of years. 109. It was a black planet. Let me jump down to 118. So you must clean yourself inside out and outside in if you wish to be restored as a munazara, child of Nazaru, over the Nitiru overseers. Mean that we should perform what they call a self-exorcism. 119. You need actual facts and part out the way, our own way, not others. Again, this goes back to culture. 120. You need wu-nuwaup to be Nuwaupians, speaking Nuwaupu, we say Mispatia, your own tone. 121. Africa is not your only home. 122. The whole correct planet Earth once belonged to you alone, not just one continent. 123. Then you shared it with those that came from you. 124. Now they seek to rule it as their own and use you as a tool or weapon to help them kill and rob all others as his carcassoid pet. Let me quickly, I can continue reading. 125. He gives you a mental or physical uniform and religion, and you fall asleep into his mind, removed out of your own mind. That's why you can't accomplish the 24 heights of perfection. So once we are in our primordial state, pristine state, what can't we do? 126. Remember, you don't need them, they need you. 127. You can live under the direct rays of Pa-Ra'e, the sun. Drink water anywhere on the planet without fear of mawat death. And once your immune system is re-strengthened, you will remove them out of your system, the mindset, mind state they've been placed under. This is what wu-nuwaup does. And Wu-Sabat, it reverse engineers the programming. 128. You were grown on the richest and best part of this planet Earth called Africa today. And all the insects and all the animals are your musdaq friends. 129. Then you decided to move eastward on the planet, mixing your divine genes, becoming sick and diseased by the cursed seed. 30. This is number 24. What does it mean to you now that you know? 131. The orb is a sequence of circles, as in an atom, to form a ball. 132. The element F9 fluorine, number 9, is a gaseous chemical. Know what each means to you. 133. Each element grows in different forms, yet each is circular as your body systems. 134. No one has come that was able to warn you and teach you the master secrets. So don't duck when I throw these hakak facts at you. 135. Mind your akal mind. Mind your akal mind for the jewels of your soul. I know the Kadash secret of argan oil for your youthful skin and more. You put that there for a reason, isn't it? Argan oil. And when it says mind your akal mind for the jewels of your soul, meaning that you got to go down to the depths of your being for the jewels that reside within your soul, and wu-nuwaup, wu-Sabat, is the tool or are the keys that can unlock the doors that's been closed, and by way of our actions we can open the doors and break the spell and become part of the Galactical Federation. There's so much more we can read. The whole doctrine of Wu-Sabat is really
Sorry about that.
life-changing. Oh, go ahead, Samantha.
Why argan oil in comparison to other oils like avocado oil, olive oil?
Oh no, argan oil, it doesn't say here. No, you have to. I think it was. Oh yeah, you can reason that out based upon the properties of it. Argan oil. We need to do some investigation on argan oil. And that's what it says here. What it's a good thing that you mentioned that. Good question, because what pops up in my head now is that somebody said to me yesterday, "Is knowledge power?" I said to him, "Well, knowledge, the power of knowledge received comes by way of the application, and you can have as much knowledge under your belt, but without activation, it's just knowledge in an inner state. The power comes, as I said before, becomes by of activation, meaning by putting it into practice." Okay. But in terms of organoids, Marta, and some bit of research needs to go into that and find out the properties of argan oil.
Sure, I'll do some research. Tell that.
Yeah, you're welcome, Samantha. Any more? Another 15 minutes before the shutters get pulled down. Let's get some scrolls here. I've got no questions. Get some scrolls here for you to read. Just to by reading these scrolls, it may activate something inside of us. Let me just read. This is going. Let me just read. Okay, just read. I'm gonna read something here. This is I'm reading Master Secrets, Dimensional Links, and Nabat, the Sacred Ash. It reads. We start from verse 19. This is page 2, verse 19. No, let me just read from if anyone's got any questions, just holler. Okay, and Master Secrets, dimensional links. Up on page 1 of it. Number 1. لكم ممرار خلو wu-nuwaup pa wu-nuwaupu. For you, my beloved children of wu-nuwaup, the Nuwaupians. 2. I, Parnababiananan, transcribe for you Jaharu Shalil Pataratui, jewels of my divine eyes. So much of our renewed story called wu-nuwaup, your way to Tanakha's salvation. And we know that the word, when we say salvation, salvation is keeping those opposing forces away once a people have been liberated. 3. You must tahum, overstand mind and mental, spirit and spiritual, omniverse and wahu-makwan universe. 4. And the powers of mental reason into akal mind. Remember you said about mind your mind for the jewels of your soul? Keep that in mind. 5. Sabab, reason, is intellect from outtellect or intelligence from outintelligence. What is Panabaminan meaning? It says in the next one. 6. This also includes inspiration from outspiration, and that is revelation from contact outside this dimension, from the 4th, 5th dimension. Remember we read earlier on about certain secrets coming from the 5th dimension or 4th dimension of the what's the tablets of destiny. 7. All is linked to you. 8. You are something from your links to what atomic weights would call nothingness, mental to mind to mind. 9. Reasoning is mentalism by the rules of natural nature, Fatira al-Fatar, with the help of other materials. I'll read that again. Reasoning, 9. Reasoning is mentalism by the rules of natural nature with the help of other materials in space and of course, which includes time as in growth into being. 10. Reasoning becomes conscience, the distinguisher between right and wrong decisions. It's called will. 11. And that leads to conscious or aware creative energy in absolute nature. 12. Reasoning reasons out all forms and senses, that which is needed for those forms to grow and survive in accord with and within their surroundings. And reasoning itself is a living entity. Reasoning, 13. Reasoning does what comes natural in nature by help of other supporting ether, because ether in general, that is including reason, is the mind at work with and from the reservoir of mental, who is present throughout the Kalei Makwana omniverse. 14. From whom all faqar'at thoughts and thinking come to the mind to become mine or my own thoughts by way of my own reasoning, reacting with tissue, which is material or matter. 15. And matter is something, S-U-M, something, S-O-M-E, anything and everything, and occupies space, the all in all, the universe in omniverse, the thought in thoughts. That 16, that produce a mach'ak brain made of tissue to regulate thoughts as thinking and reasoning. So saying here is brain, natural ether energy is that which created physical brains, referred to the scroll natural ether energy. Anababi goes into it deep there. 17, for brain tissue with sparks of synapses, which melts down to physical actions and reactions, produces the intelligence, energy, reason. And this says there, 17, for brain tissue with sparks of synapses, which melts down. Anything that melts down means it requires heat, or there's heat, it requires heat. And where does the heat come from? It comes from the breath, okay? And because we, as Nagaranatu, we have bigger noses, we're able to take in more air, and the more air we take in, the more heat that is produced. And by creating more heat in the body, we're able to reason things out. But obviously, we need to have the knowledge behind us, or knowledge inside of us activated. The 18, the Nashat ether energy, who does all the creative reasoning and guiding in the creation of all things, atoms and cells. 19. So, wu-nuwaupians, brain synapses produce brain actions and reactions, or brain in turn produces reason. 20. Nothing is better than 20. Nothing is better than sound right reasoning. 21. And reason is mental and mind at work together. Meaning the mental reservoir and our mind links into that mental reservoir, and by way of sound right reason extract untold intellect into intellect. 22. General reason is mental, but not an individual mind. 23. Each is linked to the mental reservoir by no choice of your own. 24. It is the natural of nature, mind link. 25. It is only when personal emotions come in that the reason changes to the reason of I did this, or that's the reason why I felt I should do this or that. Go here or there, my own reason. 26. This happens from outside influences or inside relatives. Outfluence in your personal genes of 4 generations, meaning that we can be influenced by external circumstances to do what we do, or we can be agreeable or disagreeable, or we could be influenced by internal forces that's within inside of us. The Master Teacher says outfluence, personal genes of 4 generations. 27. So wu-nuwaupians, reason is mind produced by brain concentration. 28. Reason produced by synapse sparks of colored light or shallow concentration in general thinking creates the atmospheric mind or mental environment. 29. Because it is not dense enough and adhesive enough to be an individual thought being. 30. However, reason produced by heavy or deep concentration called Ranam chanting and or Tatmal meditation and or Tamus praying is thought being formed into actions and links you interdimensionally with your soulful ancestors on the same Tawal frequency, vibration, and genetic code as your being, both physically and mentally. Meaning that when we now we're talking about, if you want to wake up anytime, so we said, what do you say, 3:45 a.m. in the morning, you just speak to yourself in your mind. This can be done. So what happens when we start doing our chanting, and we start doing a meditation or praying? You're making contact or communication with our higher self and our most lawful ancestors that reside within inside of us. And not only that, for them to guide us or to make communication to our etheric self, to our physical self. Let me just jump right down to verse 40. Look at how now they are accepting that once a physical person dies, they still exist and are doing any and everything to make a link to ghosts, specters, and spirits. And we talked earlier on about people doing necromancy. We talked about that and how these beings can help them foretell the future, but with ulterior motives. 41. The link between the living and the mawat dead will be made only open. The link between the living and the mawat dead will be made only to open the gateway to the world beyond world. 42. The six ether beings can't make it there, for they've lost their link, which is Ba soul. 43. Well, just like the use of technology, so also in time they would have been able to cruise from this three-dimensional realm to the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, onto the 10th or realm of divine mind. And being, if only they had respected the rules of natural nature. 44. Here it is now. 44. You have this ability, Nakaranadu. Now, as your mind link has not been cut off, only blocked by interference on those on a lower level. 45. That is, your 9 ether blocked by 6 ether, so you can't bring forth dimensional sound images across to this dimensional realm. 46. Just as they now can transport 3D images and surround sound through space and time to appear real. 47. From a sender to you, the receiver. So also as it was in ancient times, by 48, by Mukwana beings far more advanced or Muziyad Mu'taru extraterrestrials who are the old ones. 49. The ancient ones, existing so much longer, have developed the technology to transport 4-dimensional images of themselves through time and space. I'm going to stop there. Continue 59, let me call it a day. Let me just 59. It was really 59. All by way of heavy or deep concentration on your ancestors, the genetic link, spiritual to spirits. 60. The inner Saham power exists as the TV exists. 61. All man needed was the formula to make it work for them the way they wish. 62. The power of concentrated energy is enough to be or become the link because of the energy and Khamim, black magas magic, dark matter and dark nashat energy that still exists in your Khatat body as the first world race Ta'is. And I'll stop there, Moisa. Check out this scroll, the Master Secret Dimensional Links, and the back, the Sacred Ash.
Sorry, Omar Abdullah had his hand up for a bit.
Oh, okay. Quickly, last question then before we pull down the shutters. Go ahead.
Okay, Zamal. So my question is, so we were talking about sound right reasoning and whatnot. How were the 24 elders chosen that makes that's on the council? How were like the disagreeable chosen? Were they always disagreeable? Did they have to practice on being disagreeable, or just make me understand on that, sir?
Yeah, that's a very great question. Basically, it's in their nature to be disagreeable. You've got agreeable and disagreeable, and it's just really a matter of principle, or in the sacred wisdom of Tahuti, they call it the doctrine of polarity. You see, That's what it is. It's just a polarity that you have agreeable and disagreeable as in balancement. But then you've got the extreme, which is evil. See, so they're chosen. How they're chosen? They're chosen by way of the forces of natural nature, the higher forces, because everyone's got a boss. There are higher forces that have you read anyone in the before we go, I just want to quickly read. Very good question. X, have you read anyone? Before we pack up. Very good question. I just want to read this earlier on. This is coming from the scroll of Jesus God. Good thing, good question that is. And this is talking about the basically the cache of records. And it reads, question, what else is inside the sapphire scroll? Answer, all the true names and that most powerful names and 72 different kinds of knowledge were contained thereon, which were divided into 670 signs of the highest mysteries, also 1,500 secret keys, and in all 720 degrees, 360 degrees of the spiritual knowledge and 360 degrees of physical knowledge, of which such is not entrusted except to the holy ones, Ha-Afanim, the thrones are of the higher realm, the fifth plane or dimension. That means then that the higher beings that entrusted the higher beings that entrusted this type of knowledge to these other beings called Ha-Afanim. So there's like levels of, you could say, of higher beings. Remember that there are trillions of Ethereans, all of different I don't know, authorities, for lack of a better word. The very angels had to be taught from this scroll. 180 degrees of the physical knowledge is entrusted to each group of the heavenly host. The seraphim, fury separate, were entrusted 180 degrees of good. And the cherubim, those near, were entrusted with 180 degrees of evil. Both dwell on the higher realms of the fourth plane or dimension, under the watchful eye of Ha-Ir, the watchers. Some of the Ha-Ephanim, the thrones, the highest of angels, are the watchers, as well as some of the seraphim who have been appointed by the Ha-Ephanim, the thrones. So the higher ones are called Ha-Ir, H-A-E-E-R. These are the higher beings. Those angels are also taught from it, giving each group of them only 180 degrees of good or 180 degrees of evil between them, totaling 360 degrees of will, called will. Humans are born with will, having 180 degrees of agreeable, 180 degrees of disagreeable. So, of the Ha-Ephanim, the thrones, this is part of Babylonian would be of these beings called those of the thrones, the higher beings, who's been entrusted with 720 degrees of outformation. So he's one of those beings that's come down to give us this outformation. I hope that answers your question there, Zamal. Ashok. And with that, Moisar, we have to end today's class. And once again, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in on Clubhouse and Zoom. Those here at the chat. For without you, there'd be no class. The master teacher teaches us what we teach is what we need to learn ourselves. Till next time, I appreciate love you all. Ashok, wu-nuwaup.
Wadu Zamal.